Can you hear me okay, or do I need my headphones?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you great.
Okay, sweet. I'll leave the headphones in because
Yeah.
they're dead.
No worries, man. Let me see something real quick. So, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Great. So tell me, first of all, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Right on, dude. Right on. So we were talking a little bit before this. So tell me a little bit about what you do and like exactly what happens in your life.
Okay. Business related. I'm
Yeah.
the one of the owners of Howells, also known under the brand name of Howells British Grub.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so it's an international food company. There's two operational factories in the UK, which we produce seasonings, spices, and other things in the one. And
Yeah.
then we produce sweet items like Welsh cakes and Barrow Brith, which is, if you translate it out of Welsh, it just literally translates to fruit cake.
That's sweet.
Shortbreads and other things like that. So
Nice. And do you sell those here in the States or?
yeah, we do.
Okay.
The both factories supply a massive market share of the UK butchers and bakers
Yeah.
across the UK and Europe. Actually,
Oh, wow.
quite a lot of the stuff has won awards over there.
Wow.
For pies and seasonings and stuff like that. So, and then we expanded it into the US market and changed the model where we're doing finished items, like bacon take pies, British burgers, sausages, bacon, good
Oh,
old fashioned
wow.
black pudding.
Black pudding?
Yeah.
Nice. What's that?
Black pudding is a great little invention. It's probably best I don't tell you what's in it because then you can't
Okay, fair enough.
try it.
No,
but the
now you gotta tell me though, because I've had some weird recipes where you're like, man, I didn't think that would go together, but it's actually really good. Like, have you ever heard of chocolate mayonnaise cake?
no.
Yeah. Okay. So you would think that that sounds like really gross. Like, why would you put mayonnaise and chocolate together? But in a cake, right? All mayonnaise is oil and
An
eggs.
egg. Yeah.
Yeah. So it actually makes a really good chocolate cake. Makes it like very moist and very well.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, it sounds weird, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so for all our meats, especially our burgers and stuff that we've done, we actually used atomic and food science and artificial intelligence to create the food.
Oh wow.
And we broke it down to the atomic levels and rebuilt it back up.
Holy cow.
So we've paired it with um, interesting sometimes, but complementary items that you would never think of doing, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's
um,
awesome. How did you use? So tell me about that process. You said AI to help you make the foods, like, or to like tell you what like ingredients work best with other ingredients, or like how did that process?
yeah. What it did was it took the it took all the ingredients and broke them down into atomic levels
Uh,
and classifications of what's in them,
oh
and then
wow.
it searched for the patterns between certain atoms and others. For example, like soy sauce and peaches, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried that?
Yeah. Actually, I have my mom is Hawaiian, and so she's done a lot of weird stuff with salt and soy
Yeah.
sauce. Yeah.
So peaches and soy sauce is gorgeous. It sounds gross, right?
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous.
That's
And so
awesome.
we have a really nice farmhouse burger. It's got mushrooms, bell peppers,
Oh
onions,
wow.
um, leeks, and a bunch of other herbs. But we pair it with a cherry coca spread.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's
That's
fantastic.
that sounds awesome. So is this like do you have a restaurant or do people order these or what? How does that work?
So the restaurant is currently under development
Okay.
for our first phase here in Utah, opening up in Provo.
Okay.
But we have a nationwide e-commerce business that's hugely successful under the Howells brand
Oh wow.
and stuff. And so yeah, we're slowly capturing the entire circle. Building, looking
Yeah.
for land to build out our farms and various other things to control the vendor sources as well. So
Wow. How did you get into that?
into the food.
Yeah.
or into investment properties and stuff like that.
Oh,
So.
well, how the food? We'll talk about the investment properties, but I
Okay.
like that. I like food. I'm fat, man. I like food.
I like food. Nice. Um, honestly, um, just got into it. It's I sometimes think about the dream of one day owning a restaurant chain
Yeah,
that's unique and actually worth a damn and serves decent food. You know,
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
not to
Well,
get
no,
cheap.
I think that. Yeah, I think that's great. I love the restaurant industry, man. It's pretty competitive, but when you find a good restaurant, dude, especially like a niche restaurant or like a specialty restaurant, you
Yeah,
can't really get anywhere else. Like, what's your dream restaurant? Like, if you could have it right now, what would it be?
it'd be the British one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hard to get. It's hard to get British food here.
Are you from Britain?
Yeah, I'm from Wales.
Oh, right on. That's awesome. What brought you to the United States?
Um, I needed some change. The UK wasn't really for me anymore after some service for my country and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And came to the States, got my green card, and ended up staying so long because I got married and stuff. But
There
yeah,
you go.
now juggle a successful business with a 7-month-old.
Oh, geez, man. I that is nuts. How do you juggle that? Like if somebody out there is struggling right now, what do you say to those guys juggling?
My wife is a huge part of it for sure.
Yeah.
Running a business, if the other potential partner, spouse, whatever you want to call them, right,
Yeah, yeah.
is not supportive, it becomes 100 times harder.
Oh,
You've got no
wow.
one to turn to, no one to soundboard off, no one really to speak or
Yeah.
voice, because you can have bad days, right?
Right.
Uh,
Oh, for
like it,
sure.
and I've had bad months in business, you
Yeah,
know.
oh, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, they
I've had
come.
business partners embezzle and steal money. I've had
Jeez.
employees steal and walk off the job site. I've had
Oh, no.
coups done. I've had higher VPs and executives wipe data servers and quit. I've had it
No
all, man.
kidding. No kidding. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And
Well, how does
so
that? Yeah, holy cow. Go ahead.
the thing is about business, it's easy to get into. It's harder to survive.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
like anyone can start a business, right? That's how easy it is. That's something I
Yeah,
love about the Americas too.
yeah,
There's a lot of opportunity here if you're able to do it right.
right.
Um, and also, like restaurants, right? It's
Yeah,
fairly inexpensive now to open a restaurant. You're no longer talking 1.5 million build outs,
right, right.
although they still happen.
Sure,
But
sure.
you can walk in, you can take over existing spaces, you can do pop-up restaurants, you can do food trucks, you can do
Yeah.
events.
Oh,
It's so
man. Yeah,
yeah,
no
so
kidding.
easy to start at the bottom and kind of work your way up into a brick and mortar space now.
Yeah. I
But
love the
it's
food truck
staying there,
idea. Yeah.
huh?
I love the food truck idea.
Yeah, food trucks are a whole new beast. That they've
Yeah,
definitely changed the culinary world.
yeah.
For an interesting segment. The brick
No
and
kidding.
mortars hate them.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do. I grew up in no, I didn't grow up, sorry. I grew up in Iowa, but I lived in Portland for a while. And that is like what I thought was like the food truck like capital of the world. Have you ever been to
Okay,
Portland?
I have. I love Portland, man.
Oh gosh, man. It's fantastic. So there's a one, I can't remember what block it was. I think it was off, and I could totally be wrong here, but I'm just gonna shoot it in the dark. I think it was Killingsworth on Killingsworth Street, but there's a whole block of these food trucks, and
I
you can
think I
find,
know what you're talking about.
yeah, any food, any food that you can think of. And a couple of buddies of mine went, and it was just, I mean, I had like stomach problems for like days. My first experience with a food truck was not good, but they've gotten a lot better. Like they here in North Salt Lake, they do like food truck Mondays, and
Yeah,
um, and
round up.
they're great. No, I love them. Have you ever thought about starting a food truck?
I have thought about it,
Yeah.
and it would be a good um, source of revenue.
Yeah.
The issue we have is converting our items to that kind of quick food status.
Yeah.
It's not
That is
something.
tough.
It's not something I want to tackle right now,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because that's a whole different business model completely. And
Oh
it's like
yeah.
people tend to just throw everything they got into a food truck, think that they can serve some fries and stuff, but and that's $10, you know.
Yeah.
It's
No
not. It's not
kidding.
quite like that. I mean, people
Right.
will try a new truck left, right, and center, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you haven't got the quality of food to back up the prices on the trucks,
Yeah.
you won't have repeat business.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of one of those. It's almost like food trucks went like the snow cone route, you
Yes.
know? So like you have really good snow cone, you always go back, and then food trucks. I mean, what makes a food truck good? Because I've studied it a little bit, researched it a little bit, but what makes a good food truck is like a simple menu, right?
Yeah.
You serve like one or two things really, really well, and you get it out as fast as you can, right?
Yeah. You definitely want to be quick turnaround on your tickets,
Right, right.
and you want low investment items for high profitability margins, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so a lot of people try to go like crazy fancy gourmet 5-star dining on some of these trucks, and you're like, why?
You're like, yeah, you're like,
I'm
no,
here for good old street food, man.
I'm here for American food. Greasy, the bag is wet.
Back,
you know,
it's I
you know
hate
what I
greasy
mean?
burgers.
Like Five Guys. Have you ever had Five Guys burgers?
I haven't, no.
Oh man, you got to go to Five Guys. Five Guys will give you like you just order a burger and fries, and that whole by the time they give it to you, the bottom of the bag is just wet,
Oh man,
and
that
you know
sounds.
what it, and you know what it is. But hey, listen, Five Guys is the bomb. It is the best burger. It's sweet.
I couldn't do it.
Is food? How different is food in America from Wales?
Drastically different.
Oh my good
Man, you guys add sugar to bloody everything.
dude, we really do. It's kind of a problem.
It is.
What was the biggest culture shock, like food wise, for you from Wales to here?
um, how much fast food you have,
Yeah.
right? Like the UK has it. We prefer our takeaways though. Um,
Okay.
but and the local good eateries, right? But in
Yeah.
terms of
Yeah.
fast food, like they're around, but they're not. They're not. It's nowhere like here.
Really?
Yeah, it's. I swear, for like every one location we have, you probably have like 50 to 100.
Oh, yeah. Are you serious? So,
Yeah.
like, if you want a quick bite to eat in Wales, like, what do you do? Like, if I,
Uh,
if I'm on the way home from work, I'll be like, I'll just stop at McDonald's or like Burger King or something. Like, what do you have that? Do you even have that?
yeah, we do. You can stop by the chippy or
Okay.
the bakery or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Get a
Yeah.
quick bite to eat, some fish and chips or some pasties and pies.
Yeah.
Um, so
Wow. That's crazy, man. So like what was a big like besides fast food, like when you ate here, what was the difference? Like, you said the sugar and like the fast food and stuff, but was there like one thing that you were like, what the heck is that, man?
not really.
Okay.
I've traveled the world a lot
Oh, right on.
and stuff, so nothing is really like what the hell's that these days. But just salt and sugar,
Dude, just too much here in America, huh?
too much. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh man. But you know what? I've had that. I've seen that. And I've also heard that. Like I've talked to people who visit here. Like I unfortunately haven't been outside of the country yet. I'm hoping to, but I get that all the time. They're like, way too much sugar, way too much salt. Like, um, and I've always thought it was just really interesting, like that happens. You know what I mean? So, because like I'm from here, so I just assume that it's like normal. But then I talk to people who aren't from here. You know what I mean? And they're like, no way, man, that's not normal. Like, what's normal for you? Like, what's a normal meal over in Wales? This will
Uh,
be the last question. I'm just curious. I just find it fascinating.
Good question. We cook a lot from the earth. Use
Okay.
lots of vegetables and
Yeah.
really a lot of lamb
Oh, you know
and
what? I
stuff.
like lamb.
Lamb's gorgeous.
Yeah, lamb is really good.
So yeah, so typical meals, will be vegetables, Yorkshire puddings, lamb, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Especially on Sundays, we do Sunday dinners.
Okay.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's all in the gravy.
Oh, the great. That's awesome, man. So you do
But
that. So you run your food business, and then you mentioned that you do your investment properties and investment opportunities. So tell me a little bit about that.
so we primarily invest in businesses
Oh,
um,
wow.
that are up and coming. We get so many applications for
Yeah,
investment or people asking for money for their businesses.
sure.
Um, one thing that we don't do is invest in people. We
Okay.
we we invest in systems.
Oh, okay.
And so business is in the eyes of people very, very risky, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But entrepreneurs thrive and make money on risk. But to
Right.
us, it's not risk.
Okay.
It's simply a numbers game,
Okay.
right?
Tell me more. Yeah, tell me more.
So let's take an investment property, for example, or a business
Okay.
that's buying. Um, say, for simplicity, the property or business is $100,000, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm either gonna I'm either gonna bankroll it myself and tie up my equity. I'm gonna
Hmm.
use someone else's money, which is always favorable,
Yeah, yeah. That's right.
um, or I'm gonna have debt, right? So debt, equity
Yeah,
debt, or useful debt.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, but so the real estate brings me this deal. The real estate agent side brings me this deal,
Hmm.
and they'll be like, okay, this is what's happening in the area. We think that these three communities will expand into, say, 1,500 houses, right?
Hmm.
Um, for a business thing, or they're building these parks. These businesses are coming into the location within X amount of miles.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this is the improvements plan for the area, etc. Right? They'll always try and sell you on that stuff
Right, right.
while hiding the numbers.
Yeah,
uh,
that's true. Yeah, you're like potential, right? Like this has potential or whatever.
uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay.
potential is great, but if the numbers don't make sense, potential means nothing.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so when
You
it
gotta
comes
gotta
down
have
to,
both, right?
yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, how much could I rent this out for? So say my payments each month were 2K, right?
yeah, yeah.
And my top end rent that I could get with some fixes might be like 2,500.
Right.
Okay, and then knock off the then you could potentially flip this house in, say, 5 years, right?
Right, right.
For double.
Hmm.
The question is, if you're by the time you've knocked out all your operational expenses and some of the ones you also always forget
Yeah.
about, and the payment is 2K, the income is 2,500, and by the time I'm done, my actual true income is, say, 1,900, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I'm negative 100.
Yeah.
But it has great potential. I can flip it for X amount, and property values are going to skyrocket according to the real estate agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the question you really got to ask yourself is, how can you structure that deal, whether changing interest rates or different things, to remove the negative 100? Because you don't want to be
Yeah.
carrying that, right? Because you got to
Right.
pay it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah. So then the next question is, okay, if you really want to be dumb and do the deal, how long can you sustain $100 payment for the life of the mortgage or the
Right. Yeah.
loan or stuff like that? Then the
Yeah.
second question is, if shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
how long can you sustain a $2,000 payment?
Yeah. Yeah. No kidding.
And that's the question a lot of people forget to ask when doing things and risk and stuff. That they look at the $100, not the $2,000.
Right. The payment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
And so it's like,
payment.
okay, well, this would bankrupt me in 6 months. Well, that's
Mm.
not a lot of time to recoup and regen and stay afloat, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you primarily don't play the risk game.
No, I play the numbers.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
So yeah. So you just, I mean, so it's all just if the numbers make sense, we'll do the deal.
yeah,
Okay. There you
yeah. If
go.
the numbers make sense, we'll do the deal.
Yeah.
Same with the investment,
Yeah.
of businesses. Super risky investing in startups, but it's not if you're investing in a system, right?
Okay. Yeah,
So
I like that. Yeah.
investing in ideas, people, um, or startups that are kind of one-man bands, super risky because they haven't created a
Sure.
business.
Right.
The definition of a business to me is a system, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm either helping them fund a job,
Right.
or an idea. Neither of those are systems.
Right. Right. So what's a good so if you're starting a business, what's a good system to
I
have? What do
always
you like to see
recommend
in a system?
scalability for one, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Longevity, like if we stress test your system, what's going to happen to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so part of the investment process, we stress test their systems.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
To see what to like, what how it does under pressure, like with like either low revenues or unexpected expenses, things like that.
or a big one, scaling. Like how
Okay.
quick
Like if
can
it
we
can't
scale this business before it
yeah.
breaks?
Oh, that's true. Yeah. You know what? Because with my accounting background, that's one of the things I see is it's actually funny. People don't think about it like, but businesses fail because they scale too quickly.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like you can actually like, and that's not a good problem. Like if you sell a product and you can't fulfill an order because you scaled too quickly because you pumped 30 grand into a social media marketing campaign or a email campaign and more people came back than what you anticipated and you can't provide that service or product anymore, like that's a big deal. You lose merchant accounts, you lose customers. I mean that can end a business scaling
Yeah,
too quick.
you are screwed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Costco recognized that exact problem, right?
Okay.
To get
Yeah.
into Costco on their road shows now,
Yeah.
you have to be doing over $1 million in business.
Okay.
Because what was happening was people were coming into their road shows, they were buying new equipment for that, spending all their money, doing all the hopeful,
Right.
and then Costco may not have stocked their product, or they stocked it, but then they phased it out, and
Right.
they have the inability to function their business because they attempted to scale solely to Costco and not the
Right.
rest of the markets.
Oh geez. Yeah.
And the road shows, even the orders coming out of those shows in a Costco where they were taking orders, they were bankrupting companies.
No kidding. I've never heard
Yeah.
this story. Holy cow.
And so to be able to get into Costco now on road shows, you are looking at $1 million turnover each year
Wow.
before they'll consider you.
Right. But well, yeah, because it's bad for Costco too. If you scale too quick and you
Terrible
can't,
for Costco.
yeah, and if people go to Costco for one reason, right? Like, because like, if Costco trusts them, that's how Costco works, right? That's why Costco is a business. If Costco trusts them, I trust them.
Yeah.
And so if Costco was putting them in there and they were failing like that, that's not good for. Yeah, and so that's another thing about scaling too quick, right? Is it hurts you and it hurts maybe vendors or somebody, anybody else you're kind of going towards, right?
Right.
That's nuts. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what kind of deals have you done?
In terms of what?
Let's say like a business that you bought, and I mean you don't have to get like specific names or anything like that. But what was a good business that you bought? Like, or let me ask you this question, and you feel free to answer that one. But like, if you could invest in any business right now, what would it be? Or like system, what would it be?
Right now, we're actually actively investing in things that complement our business for
Okay.
help.
Okay.
Um, we're looking for new innovative products for packaging, shipping,
Hmm.
producers of farms,
Yeah.
meat, butchers,
Wow.
signage, graphic, all the complementary businesses we're currently interested in investing in.
Wow.
But honestly, if someone brings me a good system that's not quite proven or stuff, we'll test it, we'll prove it, we'll tell you if it's good or not.
Yeah. Okay. Is that a service that you offer? Like if let's say a business just came to you and said, "Hey, test our system, test our business, our scalability." Is that something that you offer?
Only if there was an investment deal on the table or a
Okay.
potential investment deal on the table.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, so
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it's got to be some. What's in it for you? Yeah, for sure.
right, yeah.
If I'm testing this, what do I get? I'm with you, man. That's cool. So, but yeah, like, have you had any good success stories with that?
We have good success stories and we have failures too,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the successes have done well,
Yeah.
for sure, especially some investments in some new artisan startups that
Oh.
have panned out really well.
Oh,
We
yeah.
love the little guys. So sometimes, I'll be at events for the company, or um, I love going to farmers markets and stuff, and I'll walk down and I'll see something that catches my eye.
Yeah.
I'll spend time talking to them, their process and stuff. I'm like, hey, you're looking for an investor? It's rare, but
Yeah.
sometimes I will physically make offers.
Yeah.
And then the failures usually come from a couple of things.
Okay. Yeah. Tell
Um,
me more.
it's not exactly the system; it's the inability to execute the system reliably.
Mm, yeah. Yeah.
And it's more on the human side than it is the investment side, right?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
and there's been times where we've given companies too much money, and we've caused them to fail.
Yeah.
And
That makes
that's on
sense.
us.
Right. Right.
When we were first starting out, we were writing pretty big checks, but that's not the answer to most solutions.
Yeah. Yeah. More money isn't always the solution. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because
I believe it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I totally agree with that. If you give a startup too much money, there's too much that can go wrong with it.
they get relaxed, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they
Because
do. Yeah.
honestly, the best performing entrepreneurs are the ones that are fighting tooth and nail.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, there's a little bit of scarcity, right?
yeah,
Like there's a little bit of scarcity there. They're like, hey, man, I've got to make these moves count. When I make the moves, they gotta do something, because I definitely understand where you're coming from. If you have too much money, you're complacent, and then you kind of lose sight of like the vision. Maybe you kind of have the we're here mentality.
yeah. You get ingrained with the success before you've had the success. It is how I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I like that. I mean, I understand that too, because when you have these kinds of things, to me, it's kind of like, are you familiar with like intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, so it's kind of like that, right? They've done a few studies, and I'm not like a scientist or a health, guru or whatever, but they've done studies that one of the reasons that intermittent fasting helps you like longevity wise is that scarcity is like it helps you like keep going. You know what I mean? Like, we know the whole idea of intermittent fasting is when you're going to eat, right? But the
Right.
reason is you trick your body into like burning more calories and going farther because of the scarcity. And it's the same thing with business, right? You kind of trick your system into like going further than it normally would because of this scarcity. Kind of like, I got to make everything count. Everything's got to, like, there's got to be no holes in the system, right? Because what's that law? I can't remember, but you got to put more into a system because you get less there's always some waste in the system, and the best systems have the least amount of waste, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. I have certifications and qualifications
Yeah.
in Six Sigma,
Oh, there you
lead
go.
management, and all that
Wow.
stuff as black belts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And it's true, like lean systems, you have the ability to run really smoothly. But
Yeah.
what happens if there's a hiccup or a hole? It's draining something, right?
Yeah. No
And
kidding.
my biggest recommendation for anyone that's running business right now
Yeah.
is: are you doing a job, um, or are you running a business? You know, does your company make money when you work when you're not working?
Oh yeah, that's
That
that's a very good point.
Yeah, and that is the
Yeah.
difference between a job, or being self-employed, and having a business.
Oh,
A
interesting.
business, a true business that's successful,
Yeah.
as part of my success for definition of successful businesses we invest in,
Yeah.
is the owner and operator. Does the company continue to survive when they're not there, and is it
Yeah.
improving without them?
You know what? That's a great kind of like test, because a lot of people don't realize that. I have always said that if it's not working while you're not there, you didn't do a good enough job putting the right systems in place, right?
Correct.
Like you have, yeah, that totally makes sense, because you don't want to be a business owner and be working 9 o'clock to nine at night.
No.
That's not a business owner. That's, yeah, you're right. You're an employee, man. You did, you created the. I mean, I get why you'd have to do that at first, but the whole idea of starting
Absolutely.
something, yeah, you know what I mean. The whole idea of starting something though has to start with you building these autopilot processes.
Yeah. And so some of the issues we found in entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
and some things that I've seen, and I've been guilty of this of myself a little bit,
sure.
starting out, was they get so ingrained in building the business up that
Yeah,
that it fails, or they're enslaved because
mm,
they didn't set the systems up to start with, and they have no time or energy to go back and fix it,
wow.
and so they are
Yeah,
stuck.
yeah, yeah. No
And
kidding.
so some advice would be is build one system at a time. So okay, like for example, let's say you want to start a business making candles.
Okay.
um, First people were like, okay, I'm going to buy all the inventory, then I'm going to go sell it, right? I'm going to list adverts on Facebook, I'm going to list
Yeah,
adverts, I'm going to go to farmers markets, I'm going to go and artisan groups.
yeah.
Let's do this, right?
Right, right.
No. So your first question is, okay, what do I need to make the candles? Where are my supplies coming from,
Yeah,
right? Then
yeah,
so the first thing is you set up your vendors, and you find a way to control the inventory and the ability to purchase, either
mm,
through purchase orders, QuickBooks,
yeah,
emails. You set that up so that there's a followable system
yeah.
for when you're going to scale, that you can hand over to a purchase manager,
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's a great idea.
And so you start with that, right? Because your core of your
Yeah,
business is your vendors, right? Where are you getting stuff from?
right.
Okay, once you've nailed that, um, how are you ordering? Are you going to pay them by card? Are you going to pay them by bank draft? Are you going to pay by
Yeah,
checks? Do you want to have terms? Do you not want to have terms?
yeah, yeah,
Are you able to pay the terms if you take the terms?
yeah,
Uh, and
yeah.
uh, I always tell them no terms on your business until you are over 2 years old.
Okay.
Cash for everything,
Yeah, cash for everything.
because it forces you to work.
Yeah, and yeah, and really like I like the cash for everything idea, because even if it does fail for some crazy reason, I mean, you're not in a lot. You can just walk away. You lost a lot of money. You
Yep.
lost, your business, but you can walk away and you can
Yeah.
start something else later. But if you got that debt that you went into your business, and you're not walking away from that.
Yeah.
Now you got this business that owes money that is gone, but the repercussions are there, right? I like that.
Right.
That's a good idea. Yeah, that's great.
Uh,
That's great.
yeah. And so yeah, cash for everything, and don't fall for the the bank's crap of we need a personal guarantor, we need
Yeah,
to secure your house. Do not
yeah,
ever put your house on the line.
yeah.
Don't do
For
it.
your business.
It's not worth it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if it all crashes and fails, not only are you in debt, you are now homeless.
yeah. Jeez, man.
And it's like, do you really want that for your family?
Right, right. Yeah, no, it's smart. It's making those smart moves. It's putting in the right
Yeah.
systems. Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's
Uh,
great.
so moving on for inventory, right? It's like,
Yeah,
okay, you got your bank accounts, you got all your paperwork set up, you're trading under your own name, DBA, all that stuff, right?
right, right.
It's okay. Well, you now have your supply route set. You have
Yeah,
your lead times that you know about,
right.
and you need to confirm that with your vendors. It's like, okay, if I buy this stuff, I will get it on X day after paying, right? Don't just
Right,
guess and be like, oh, I've
right.
ordered it, it'll be here sometime, right? No, nail down those agreements.
Yeah, yeah, it's important. Yeah,
Uh-huh. And then, okay, you've got all the raw ingredients for candles. What are you making now? You know, it's like,
yeah.
what scents do you want? Okay, how much does that scent cost? How much does that gram weight of candles cost? How
Right,
much
right.
does how much is it costing to make it? And how much do you need to charge to hire someone to do it? Not just your
Yeah.
wages,
Well,
or you're
yeah.
making it free. You need to cost in future hire time and
Right,
wages
right.
for the start.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I like that. I mean, because so with I got my bachelor's degree in accounting. Um, Cost accounting is like the biggest thing. Like you nailing down, especially for products like candles or like ice cream, right? Like
Or
those are
pies.
or pies. Yeah,
Yeah,
because like it's, I can't just be like I bought this, if you're selling if you're white labeling or you're wholesaling a bottle of like soda, right? But you're just
right.
all you're doing is taking the can and reselling it kind of thing. That's pretty easy. Shipping, cost of the product all goes into cost of the product. But yeah, like things like candles or construction things, like having a good cost accounting system is like a really big deal.
Yeah,
Really big.
it's massive.
Yeah.
Um, and then I usually times it by 4.
Four. I like it.
So I take the costs
Yeah.
and the labor costs, and then I usually times it by a straight 4. I 4x it.
Yeah. Just to make sure you
So
got any cushion or anything like that.
yep,
Yeah. So you're
and
just gonna. Yeah.
that'll be my sales price.
Oh, there you go. So you mark it up 4 times. And so, but marking it up to me would be like kind of. Would you say that's industry specific? Do you think you can make more than 4 times on some products?
You can definitely make 4x on some products, but I usually start at 4x for products.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I see what that comes out to after my costs.
Ah, I
And
see.
then
Yeah.
depending on the product and the market, you'd be like, okay, it can't quite fit, especially in the food industry, right? If
Oh
your
yeah.
dish costs 2 and you have to 4x it, it comes out to like, I'm just making numbers up to $15.
Sure.
But you know that your business model is 12 or less. That's not a
Yeah.
dish you can serve on your menu, right?
Right. Right.
Um, and stuff. And so it's the same with products, right?
Yeah.
If all your suppliers and your time is costing you, say, $7.50 to make a candle, and you want to sell it for 20, but people won't pay it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you're back to square one, and it's not necessarily the ingredients you're using. There's
Yeah.
an issue with your manufacturing process.
Yeah, yeah, I like it. But so I mean, this just goes back to what you look for in a successful business as an investor from an investor standpoint, which I think is a very valuable standpoint to look at when someone new is looking at starting a business. Like, and maybe you don't want to ever like bring on investors, but I mean, it just depends on what you like. It could be a great idea, it could be, but I like that because investors really care about the bottom line. You know what I mean? Like, what can this produce? Unless you're in like those weird venture capitalists where they buy like kind of like you, right? They see a good system or a potential for a good system, even though the business around them is failing, and they think that they can resurrect that system. And
We do that too, yeah.
yeah, okay,
We've gone into failing businesses and turned them around.
yeah,
One of our most successful ones was a failing restaurant,
yeah.
and we made it profitable in a month and a half.
Yeah, just by cleaning up, you're like, man, I see
Cleaning it
this
up.
idea. You know what I see that you
And
got the best idea. Yeah, you got the
yeah,
best idea, but you just don't know how to do it. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to plug all the holes in the ship, and then I'm going to set sail. But yeah, that's great, man. And I think people should listen to that. I think people should
Yeah.
listen to those points of view from like an investor standpoint,
Because
because
we've been there, you know,
yeah,
we've built and failed on businesses from the ground up, you know,
sure,
and we've learned every time, especially from investments and stuff.
right,
Honestly, you know,
right,
the things that I truly do enjoy investing in are
yeah,
those handmade products,
yeah,
because
like that,
I
yeah,
know that they've nailed down a good handmade system, and their products are usually top quality, and
yeah,
we can come in and we can add a machine to triple the capacity on some things while still maintaining the handmade quality,
yeah.
and the business just takes off.
Wow,
Because
yeah,
a lot of business are starting to throw stuff at the business, you know, like all these machines and stuff like that.
right, right,
When in reality, is nail down a system first that works by hand,
yeah, yeah,
and then then go back and assess the bottlenecks and breakpoints in the system and start at the beginning, you know.
yeah,
And it's like, okay, I can add two more people here for the cost of, say, $1,000 a month, right? Making numbers up again.
right, right, right.
Um, and the machine is going to cost me 2,000 a month. So,
Right.
I'll ask you a question: when would you buy that machine?
Mm, that's a good question. I'd have to, yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, think about it a little.
Yeah, let me think. So here, tell me the scenario one more time.
Okay, so let's go back to our candle making, right?
Deal.
It's costing you $1,000 a month to fill, say, 500 candles, right?
Okay.
Numbers are made up again,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's your employee wages to fill 500 candles, right?
Okay.
Or you can spend $2,000 a month on payment on a machine
Yeah.
that could fill, say, 1,000 candles a month,
Okay.
right? When would
Yeah.
you buy that machine?
I'd buy that machine as soon as I could
Why?
because I feel like I'd buy it because I could make more candles. There's a little more investment up front, but I'd make more candles. But you tell me.
I wouldn't buy the machine
Okay. Why wouldn't you buy the machine?
because I haven't maxed out my human capital assets.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I that makes sense. Tell me more.
So we do stuff, and that's why I love handmade business, right?
Yeah.
You hire people to do the job
Yeah.
until it becomes more cost efficient,
Right.
to buy or make payments on a machine than
Sure.
it does and the ROI
Yeah.
is short than it is to add another human, right? Does
Oh,
that make
yeah.
sense?
Yeah, that does make
And
sense.
so
Okay,
why
deal.
it makes sense to pay a $2,000 payment on a machine to get more candles, you're
Yeah.
not actually saving yourself money. It's actually more expensive.
Okay.
And
Yeah, because you haven't maxed out. You can bring on another person for cheaper and they can
yes,
make another amount of can. Okay. You haven't, yeah, I like that. You haven't maxed out human capital. All right, deal.
yeah.
I can dig it.
And
I can
so
dig it.
when looking at systems and things in businesses to kind of get back to that price point, right?
Yeah, yeah,
That you need to be in business. Is it a human asset issue, or is it
right.
a mechanical asset issue?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. Dude, a lot of good stuff. I really appreciate that. Nice. So let me ask you this before we wrap up, because I don't want to take your whole day. But
So,
like let me ask you this. Back to the food stuff. You said you have a big e-commerce thing. Where can people look up your food online?
www.howellsbritishgrub.com. Uh,
Howell's British Grub.
yep, .com.
That's nice.
And
Okay.
we're also on Facebook and Instagram, and the tags are at Howell's Grub.
At Howell's Grub.
Yeah, then we are currently renovating a beautiful basement space on the corner of Centre and University in Provo, right across from the
Yeah.
city centre temple. It'll be
Okay.
gorgeous once we finished, if
Wow.
COVID ever lets us finish.
If Kobe, dude, that's been brutal for a lot of people. I don't think we'll stop feeling the effects of the economic effects of COVID for a while.
No, I anticipate a 3-year recovery.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be a minute. It's gonna be a minute.
So,
Well, I mean, you can't shut down a whole economy for a month and not have that. You know, and I
no,
get it. I get it. I'm not here to talk. I don't know enough about all the science behind COVID and stuff, but I'm just saying it's just tough. I mean, the reality is it's just a tough situation. You know what I mean?
right?
Just dang. So Howells, www.howellsbritishfood.com,
How was British Grub?
howellsbritishgrub.com. Thank you.
Yep.
And everybody can look it up now.
Yeah.
Well, hey, and thank you for the insight, man. I really like that. I think people are going to listen to this. Hopefully young entrepreneurs, young business starters are going to listen to this and get some good tips from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I hope we can help someone. You know, I mentor people in business and stuff, and
Yeah.
it's just so sad when they're failing, and it was just simple things they did wrong. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's why you got to get a good mentor. You got to get a good team behind you.
Absolutely.
And then roll. And then commit. I like what you said. We were talking about that. I mean, like taking an idea and then committing and then acting on it, right? And I feel like that's the big thing. I'm not going to pound that because you can go listen to a bunch of other prettier, Instagram entrepreneurs or whatever to tell you that. But get a good team, get a good system, like you said, and then just go for it. Just commit.
Know your limits for sure.
Yeah, I like that. Well, hey, I appreciate it, Luke. And I hope this works out, man. I want to see that. I'll come get some British grub, dude, because I've never had any, and I'm coming for it. I love lamb though, so I'm gonna come whatever you got.
We make some gorgeous lamb pies. Oh. To die for.
All right, dude, I'm coming for it. But hey, thank you so much, Luke.
You're welcome.